we're visiting the formal rose garden of Christopher Gregg's garden, and the reason why we're only doing this is because the garden is so big. This rose garden is so typical of one of those beautiful old Edwardian gorgeous designs. So why does it work? Well, number one, the fact that it is a sunken garden. A, gives you elevations from above so that you can really get to enjoy what you're looking at. It's almost like planting a tree and being able to climb to the second story of your home and look down over the canopy. You get just a completely different view of what you're seeing. So that's the first thing that really works here. The second thing is entirely on the lines and the type of apex that's been used. Within this garden, it's divided into strictly 4 quadrants. As you come down the center, there's the large water feature, which draws you on into it. So once you're in the sunken garden, then where to from there? Well, you need those design elements that are going to be able to draw you further into it. So off each axis, there is something. There's either a bench or another pathway that you might want to go to, or just the most fantastic, beautiful pots that have been used along the axis. Well, then you're guided into the 2 separate pathways that flank the rose garden on a slightly higher level. So yes, those are the areas where you can stand, enjoy and look down onto it. But most importantly, look at that behind me, that awesome architectural structure of the pergola with a combination of wisteria, climbing roses. But from a design perspective, wow, this is absolutely fantastic. A great garden design needs awesome plants. And what we find here is a selection of plants that really complement that formal look that we're wanting. And the best baby to do it has been used here. This is called a buxus. Buxus is a low-growing shrub, can be pruned beautifully. And take a look at this guy. I mean, do you see how neatly he's been pruned? The reason why it works so well is because it's got a beautiful small leaf. So when you clip it, it gets even tighter and even more well knitted together. To give a bit of height in the garden above the lovely clipped hedges, which are as level as they come, beautifully aligned, just for a bit of height in between the hedges are the pots with this oval-shaped clipped form of the buxus. And that really gives you the interest. You'll notice that the buxus has been used all the way right throughout the garden. And that's about the uniformity. If you're going to have a formal garden, you need to stick with a few things and use a lot of them, especially in terms of the hedging. In between it and inside it, well, that's when you can go wild. And that's exactly what's been done here. Groups of large sections of different types of roses. So buxus is the boy. That's the one you want. Remember, it needs lots of sun, just like roses do. Clip it often, and really, in terms of clipping, I'm meaning probably once a month is all you're going to need to keep these babies into shape. Isn't this magnificent? This feature, the pergola walkway, is really something that can stand alone because it is so magnificent. It has the standard traditional ways with the beautiful pillars, awesome wide pathway which is really inviting. And what I love is the fact that just ordinary stone has been used underfoot, placed in intervals, and then with the wonder lawn in between it. Flanking me on either side to keep the formality is the beautiful lavender. This is a dentata, lovely, nice and tall. You can see it's like almost right up here. Beautiful. And that is going to stay green all year round, even whilst the roses are pruned later into the winter. But man, it is spectacular. Why? Height, width, beautiful plants on either side. And of course, most importantly, look behind me. Now there's something that most people will want to get closer to and take a beautiful look because it's an awesome focal point. You've heard about the basic design, the principles of how I think it works, but more importantly, let's find out from the man himself, Christopher Gregg. This is his rose garden and I'm off to find him. Christopher, the rose garden is spectacular. I love the formality, but I love this. It's so unique. And talk me through the pergola.
So the pergola, or the colonnade as I call it, was something that I've placed at the one side of the rose garden. As you said a moment ago, to add extreme formality, because my garden is really very wild and very free form in terms of design, and I felt that the garden needed some very severe structure, hence the formality of the rose garden. The columns in the pergola I found at the bottom of the garden when I bought the property some 13 years ago. They're short columns, so I've raised them up a bit to create some scale.
Yeah.
And we then created the woodwork and the iron girders, the arch, which I've planted with Eden rose, otherwise known as Pierre de Ronsard, which I'm led to believe, and certainly I agree, has got to be the greatest climber in the world. It's a soft pink rose with a lime green tinge, and I've alternated the planting of the rose climber with wisteria. There was an old rose garden in this very position before. Oh, I must say that when I bought this property, kind of behind my wife's back, she was very upset about the fact she'd gone into labor, and I went to the maternity home and I said, I bought a new home. And she said, well, I'll only accept it on one basis. Is there a position for a beautiful rose garden? So I had to deliver on the rose garden.
And the fountain is glorious.
Fountain is lovely. It's coming back to as I said earlier, the garden needed some formality. So I've divided the garden up into 12 different compartments with buxus, clipped buxus. And all the roses that I've used are soft colors. Just to mention some of them, it's Bramilda van Rensburg, Satin Beauty, Garden and Home, Lime Green Penguin, which I love, Table
It's
Mountain,
gorgeous.
Spiced Coffee. So they're all the sort of softer shades of the sort of pastel colored roses. We don't spray anything, no poisons, no insecticides. I just leave it be. And if the rose beetles come, well, they have a good time. But there's absolutely it's organic 100%.
Wow. So principles to get a rose garden looking like this, and because people are going to really want to know this. And I see there's lots of good mulching going on there.
To start with, there was trenching.
Yes.
Very important. We do irrigate it once a day. The irrigation is good. We mulch a few times a year and compost, and I use a little bit of Ludwig's rose food. But other than that, it's just a very natural process.
And talk me through the pots. I mean, I love the pot arrangement in here, and the benches on the either side. Is that sought after? Did you kind of think that whole thing through a lot?
Not really. I'm a great believer in the fact that the placement of pots anywhere in a garden adds great value. It breaks the stiffness in a way.
Yes, yes.
And the benches I just happened to have found some years ago, and I've left them to be very rusted and outdoor looking, and they do add a bit of value, I must say, and just a nice place to sit and contemplate the beauty of the rose garden.
The pond is beautiful, and I know we've spoken a bit about it, but I love the workmanship, the lions, the positive and the negative in here. And where did the inspiration for this baby come from?
Yeah, I was at Michael House College as a youngster in Balgan in the Midlands, and there was a very similar water feature in the main quad at Michael House, which I suppose was something that it really made a mark on me, and I was very glad to be able to do something similar in my garden.
Well, the water feature at Michael House has become very famous with Spud now.
Exactly.
So you've seriously got a beautiful design here, and very sought after. And I'm sure many people get ideas from this exact water feature right here. Beautiful garden. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tanya.
Well, folks, there you have it. From great design elements to how to grow beautiful roses to why you should have another water feature in your garden. You've got it all in this.